Hello, welcome and prepare yourself for a real treat of an episode of The Company Doctor, brought to you live from Gary's kitchen and featuring not one, but two very special guests. Today we're launching the Career Catalyst mini-series in celebration of the release of the new book from The Company Doctor. And for this first episode, we're going behind the scenes of the making of the book, examining the challenges and rewards of self-publishing, and offering some terrific advice for anyone looking to do the same. This is part one of our Career Catalyst mini-series. And here we are for a very special episode of the Company Doctor podcast. I'm joined by a very special group of people who have been responsible for creating a fantastic new book, The Career Catalyst, 10 secret job skills they don't teach you in school. It's a huge achievement. It's a family affair. I'll let everyone introduce themselves. I'm George, as you know. I'm the co-host of The Company Doctor. I'm joined by
Oli Gamp, the ghostwriter of the new book, Career Catalyst. Very excited to be here.
And of course,
Gary Gamp,
the Company Doctor.
And Lauren Gamp.
Hey.
Whose role we will sort of dig into as the episode goes on. So it's a book, it's from the mind of the Company Doctor. It's from the pen of the Company Doctor's son. And with an amazing cover from the InDesign file of the Company Doctor's daughter. So it's a brilliant product. It's an excellent book. We're going to find out. The reason we're here, correct me if I'm wrong, is to sort of get a behind-the-scenes look at how this book came about, why it's important, and what goes into the sort of the process of bringing one of these books out, and the success that it's enjoyed so far. It's called Career Catalyst, and I thought that maybe we could kick off with a question for you, Gary, about maybe summing up what exactly it means to be a catalyst.
Oh, nice one. Are we going to kind of do the dirty and tell people the truth in the background? Is that okay?
This is a no holds
Look out, people. We're going to tell you the truth, no holds barred. The reason it's called Career Catalyst is that it's focused at people early in their careers. And we want to help people because they don't really get advice, particularly from a careers advisor.
Yeah.
And it's called Career Catalyst because we want to act as a catalyst to get them from school to uni to work. And that's really our goal. And then if you're at work already, to accelerate you through your careers with the greatest of ease.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
So a catalyst is someone who sort of it isn't just sort of resting on their laurels. It's someone who takes...
Here's an example of a catalyst. Have you ever put a Mento into a Coca-Cola bottle and see what happens? That's a catalyst right there.
Right. Okay. So you want to be the human embodiment of Mento being fired out of it. Right. Okay. Got you. And I think another sort of a good starting point now that we've established that is Oli, who has such an instrumental part in the creation of this book. How did the idea come about for this book?
I want to come out with like inspiring story, but it really wasn't. I was just listening to the podcast one day. It was actually the pay rise episode. Mm-hmm. I loved it. I thought it was one of the, I thought it was one of our strongest episodes. I was listening to the passage about Natalie. You were using Natalie as an example of commercial value. Yeah. And I just imagined the words on a page and I was like, this is really good. Like the stories are great. The way that Dad tells stories is great. And he's always got these funny analogies. And I would just, visualizing the words on a book. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is great. We should do a book. And it was initially pitched to Dad as the Company Doctor book. Uh-huh. And he said, no, let's call it Career Catalyst. He had a whole thing in mind. But at first, I think you were quite skeptical, as you would be pitching such a big idea. And it kind of we just went from there. It's been 2 years of journey. Yeah. And we're finally here. And it's quite surreal to see it now in physical form, as you can see here.
Yeah. Could I'll tell you what was going through my head, because it's behind the scenes, right? So Oli comes to me, and there's a text somewhere that he's put together, a WhatsApp message. And when he sent it to me, I know that he was keen to make some money, which is obviously great. I'm very keen for my kids to make money. And I said to him, look, it's a fantastic idea because you never beat down your kids, right? Mm-hmm. But we're not J.K. Rowling. And I was just trying to set his expectations. It's a great idea, but we might not make money. Yeah. So I kind of unintentionally pushed it away a little bit because I wanted to set expectations that he wasn't going to do this, kind of make his money as quickly as he did.
But it was actually not about the money. It was just about growing your profile because you're big in the business world, very, very big in the business world. But I wanted to give you a big presence in the media publishing world. So that's what it was aimed at. So I basically wrote one chapter, which was the first episode you guys did, the networking chapter. I transcribed it, gave it a little rejig.
Angela Parter, thank you.
Angela Parter, yeah. Gave it a little rejig, kind of made it look more booky. Mm-hmm. Everything was in there for the episode, a few more extras added in. I interviewed him separately for every chapter, but I just gave him one chapter and gave it to him and he liked it. And I said, should I do another one? And he said, yeah, sure. So I did, I think we put together 3 chapters. Yeah. And then he really started to come on board to the idea. and we kind of went from there.
Yeah. When I got the first chapter, I thought, oh wow, this is quite good. And so I said to Oli, can you do another chapter? So that it wasn't a fluke. And he wrote another chapter which was outstanding. So I think we might be onto something.
Yeah.
He enticed.
Well, you've got the receipts as well, haven't you? Because you've got that initial message that you said to Gary, being like, what do you think? I've had this idea about maybe putting it, turning into a book.
He was like, let's talk later.
Yeah.
Talk on the weekend.
Yeah.
I put it on Instagram and I said how it started, how it's going.
Yeah.
A classic viral thing. And one was the screenshot of the message, and then one was the actual book being made. As you can see, if you're watching on the video, it's done.
And so can you just, I guess it's a difficult one to sum up, but talk us through the process of actually writing it, because it's quite a difficult one to do, because it's Gary's, it's the company doctor's thoughts on the page, sort of almost translated by you. How did that come about?
So you start with a transcription. So I wrote down everything from the episode, just from his, sorry, not your voice, only Dan's. Sorry about that.
No, don't worry. Yeah, no, my voice is always.
I'm happy with that. That's cool.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone else's as well.
Your incredible questions, and then his voice, his words.
My incredible voice.
I wrote it all down, and then whatever needed rejigging got rejigged.
Yeah,
and bits that didn't quite work were kind of, reshuffled. And then if there was anything left that didn't quite make sense, or there was something that needed adding, I would go to Dan. Interview him separately and say, oh, what about this? Could you expand on that? So like for interviewing, I said, can you give me some examples of some really bad interviews you've had or some really good interviews? Mm-hmm. So we kind of just naturally found a way to do it and to keep his voice. Like a few chapters, I've had to write a few extra bits, but I know him so well. So I always...
your whole life.
I've known him for quite a few years.
My whole life.
I've known him for quite a few years, so I know how he talks. So I always wrote in, even if it wasn't him. There's very few bits where it's not him, but if I had to write where it's not him, it sounds just like...
It's quite funny, actually, because tone of voice is really important for me. If everyone knows who I am, then I'm quite direct and, certain way of speaking. But Oli's managed to capture my tone of voice to the point where someone asked him some advice the other day. He gave him advice. He said, I told them this. Is that right? I went, yeah. You want to Gary 2.0, go ahead, knock yourself out.
Brilliant. And Lauren, at what point did you get involved in this whole entrepreneurial drive?
Somewhere along the way, I believe, I was commissioned.
You were commissioned?
I was commissioned professionally to design. Yeah, that's what professionals get paid for their work.
Yeah,
sorry.
I was asked to design a cover, and do you want to know my design process?
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
Yeah, well, just quickly, this is all about this. I mean, I think we're getting under the skin of the self-publishing process, and it's something which I think is very mystical to a lot of people, and it's something, a lot of people might want to get involved in it. They don't know how to begin. Mm-hmm. So I think if we can give a bit of advice, the best thing that comes from this is to demystify the self-publication process. And great, I think a big part of that is the cover design. Don't judge a big by its cover. Everyone does.
But do.
Yeah.
Awesome, do. It's pretty, in this case, do.
Yeah.
Definitely do.
How did it go down?
Well, actually, a question. So did you need the cover in order to pitch it, or did you just feel like that would be better?
The cover was a big part of the pitch, because I think we have to kind of go back. There's a big thing where we were trying to get a publisher, a big publisher.
Yeah.
We were working with a literary agent, and they loved the cover. Mm-hmm. So they were really impressed by the cover, and they said, whoever designed this is very talented.
Well,
yes.
And they loved it. So it was...
Hold the thought. Because we should get Lauren's thoughts from there. So yes, it was important.
Yes.
It was different from then.
Yes.
But we provided a package to the literary agent, which was a couple of Oli's chapters plus his amazing cover. And that got us to the next stage. Yes.
And a sort of outline of the rest of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So at that point, I kind of started with the title, because we had the title at that point, and I zoned in on the catalyst. And so I went sciencey a little bit, and I color-wise went for something. We'd had some advice that a coral color was quite eye-catching and did quite well with books across Amazon and things like that. So I started with that. I think everyone in this room has a Monzo card. We're allowed to. Other banks are available.
Yeah. Other publishers are available as well.
Other publishers are available.
Absolutely.
And so I started with trying to find out what the color codes for that color was without, being sued. So we got it as close to Monzo Coral as possible.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a really eye-catching cover and felt quite modern. But then we got some secondary advice that maybe it wasn't quite something that fit in with the more corporate world, the business world.
Do you sense the designer wasn't completely happy with this?
I do sense that. I do, but I think also, I think your first foray into this, I suppose you want to play it safe.
I didn't.
You didn't want to play it safe.
I didn't.
You didn't want to, no. But I think the advisors want to play it safe. The powers that be might want to play it safe. So for the next one, and we'll get on to whatever the next one may be a bit later, at that point you can start.
The second in the series will be Coral.
But you know what? It's an interesting point, right? Because it's a conundrum because we've not done this before. So it's like Lauren's original design was eye-catching and amazing.
Yeah.
But we were trying to attach to a market, so we need to connect to a market. And whether we're right or not, I don't know. I think the
only time will tell,
proof in the pudding. But her design was great. But I think the fact that we can adapt is also important because the big decision, the title is a big decision. Everything.
Who came up with that?
It might be me. But part of it is to check on Amazon what people are looking for as a hook. So that was all part of it as well.
I think you came up with the catalyst part and I came up with the subheading, which is 10 secret job skills in a teaching school.
Yeah, that was...
You actually came up with the secret part, but it was a brainstorm.
Yeah. Teamwork. It's teamwork. So, sorry, did you finish, Lauren?
Yes. The important thing is the customer is always right. And the customer was these guys.
Right.
So I think what you ended up with was a very professional looking book. I think, our first book, it's white, it's, eye-catching, yet still quite, minimalist.
And a bit of a nod to the company doctor. So I think it kind of ticks all the boxes. I've had really good response, by the way, from that. They didn't see your Coral Pink.
Both designs were great.
Bloody awesome.
Would have loved to have done like an A/B test, but that's just not possible in the publishing world.
Well, I'm sure I now understand what an A/B test is, but yeah, good.
Well, we'll find out when we do the next installment of whatever the next book is. We can A/B test.
We've had the name of that.
Yeah. Oh, well, let's not reveal that right now. It sounds like there was a lot of conversation, a lot of back and forth, design, titles. This sort of process doesn't happen without hurdles on the way. What sort of hurdles did you face and how did you overcome them?
Right. Well, yeah, it is a very difficult process end to end because there's so many bumps in the road. And first of all, it's amazing to do a family project. So I'm delighted, honoured and privileged, whatever the right words are. We had such a fantastic opportunity to work with your family and still be talking at the end of it. So it's brilliant. But the hurdles were, in order to, we were focused on getting into bookshops. I don't know why, but we were. And so in order to get to a publisher, you need to have an agent.
Yeah.
And so our first hurdle was to get an agent. And then through a lot of hard work and contacts, we managed to land ourselves with a very established agent.
Yeah.
And then when you get an agent, you got to sign a contract with the intellectual property and all the stuff that goes with that. So we had to set up a company in order to have that intellectual property. So it's quite a cumbersome thing. And then the other thing is the actual book needs to be good.
Yeah.
Especially with the audience we're going to. So a lot of work of research and making sure everything was, each chapter was amazing. So it's quite a lot of work I won't reveal everything, but the main hurdle is just the size of the task and having time to do it and finding an agent that can find a publisher is pretty tough.
Yeah. And from your perspective, obviously a lot of that work was on your shoulders.
Yeah, there was a lot of back and forth.
Yeah.
At first, we kind of didn't quite know what we wanted the book to be. We wanted it to be a summary of all the best Company Doctor episodes.
Yeah.
So we had a lot in there, a range of topics. And I think we realized that it wasn't focused enough. So we eventually ended up at a careers guide for young people in the early careers. Whereas before it was, there was a lot of stuff for advanced levels, but we kind of toned it down and found our niche, which was the young early careers people.
And is that who it's for? Because one of my questions was going to be, who is, for people listening, who is the book for? Is it for people who are starting out on the first sort of steps on the path to career, or is there stuff in there which is also relevant for people mid-career?
It's a good question. I've had lots of feedback already from people that have read it. It's designed intentionally, as Oli said, because we got advice to do it in stages. It's designed for early careers, and early careers means, yes, it's your first career, or it's your second, third job. So it's early on in your career.
Yeah.
We'll talk about what we're going to do next after that. But I've had some people read it that are very experienced, and they said, you know what, there's some amazing stuff in there for now.
Yeah.
For anyone. but it is designed for people getting a leg up.
Yeah.
Not just the first job.
Pitch.
If I had an elevator pitch, yeah, it would be early careers.
Right.
Thank you for keeping me on track.
Hi, George here. Bear with me while I excitedly share the news that the company doctor Gary Gamp has just released a book available for purchase on Amazon. Career Catalyst is a compendium of insightful advice from the mind of the company doctor designed to supercharge your journey on the path to career success. And it's out now on Kindle for just $6.99 and paperback for $10.99. Do yourself a favour, pick up a copy today, follow the 10 secret steps that Gary outlines within, and soon you'll be navigating the world of work with the carefree heroism of Sir Ernest Shackleton. It sort of says 10 secret job skills that they don't teach you in school. Why do you reckon that these skills aren't being taught in school?
I've got to tell you a story. I don't know if this is going to be rude. I don't mean to offend anyone who's a careers advisor, but I had a careers advisor and I thought, what does he know as a careers advisor? And he told me I should be a florist, which is lovely and nothing wrong being a florist. But unfortunately, when you're at school, and this isn't all schools, but there's a situation where people over time get detached from what's happening because things are happening so fast. Mm. And the reason it's called the 10 Secrets, because if I went back to school now, knowing what I know now, it would be better for me.
Yeah.
So the whole premise of the book is to treat the book like I'm going back to my beginning with the experience I've had, the knocks, the good things, the bad things, and being able to pass that on.
Right. Just my perspective from coming out of uni fairly recently. There was never really anyone who said, right, this is what you got to do when you leave uni. I remember having one module in my journalism degree where somebody did a mock interview with me. Mm-hmm. And that was the only thing that I remember having real experience with where at all was actually readying me for the world.
Right.
So normally you would leave uni and it's like, right, crack on then, job hunting interviews. Luckily I had the company doctor by my side to prevent, and I managed to get a very good job at a big newspaper. But not everybody has the company doctor. And
they do now.
They do now. And that's what this book is. We feel that there's lots of career books out there. You can get a book on interviews, you can get a book on networking, but you can't get a book that takes you on the journey. So you've got job hunting. What do I do? How do I know what I want to do? What do I do when I get to the interview? And then when I get into the company, how do I navigate my way through that? This literally takes you step by step through your career. And there isn't really many books like that.
Well, that's great, because I was going to say, what do you think makes this book stand out? But
that's it.
That's it. So it's it's the end-to-end journey.
Yeah.
It's not just...
It's unique, and it's literally giving you pretty much every possible scenario you could go through in your career. You've got a difficult relationship with your boss. This is going to help you tackle that. And it's all coming from real life experience from this guy who's pretty much worked at every sector in the business world.
Going back to your original question before and trying to thread the two together, part of the hurdle for us was we had ourselves an agent.
Yeah.
And this particular agent went to the top publishers. So they sent the pitch, if you like, to the top publishers. And pretty much all the responses were amazing. They were like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. I've never seen anything quite like this. The same reason Oli explained. Mm-hmm. And then when it got to the end of the letter, it said, but we're not taking it forward. And mainly because I'm an unknown, which is fine. I understand that. They've got to sell books, right? But the principle is, I think we've got something and it's a good product. And it's been verified by people that are, that they do this for a living. They just didn't love me.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We were talking about...
Oh, that's sweet.
We were talking about this yesterday, and we're going to be doing an episode, or it may already be out by the time you listen to this, about growth mindset. And I think at that point, you could have given up, and you both could have given up on this and sort of said, okay, well, we're an unknown and this isn't going to work, or we'll self-publish. And you self-publish, and it's gone gangbusters.
Yeah, I mean, what we did is we came home and we did suck our thumb for a day or something, but then we thought, you know what, we've got a good product here. They verified as a good product. And we're fortunate enough to know someone who's one of the top Amazon publishers. And so we got together with him and worked closely with him. And that's helped us get to market and just done it in a different way. And the truth is that, for people that are thinking about publishing, you pay a lot more commission if you publish directly than if you self-publish. So potentially, we could make more money doing it that way.
Yeah. And just dipping into some of the content within the book itself, Oli, you've obviously established yourself in a media career, over the past however many years. You've worked at various different publications. Have you got any sort of real world examples of how knowing some of these skills, because, choosing what these skills were must have been quite a tricky process. Have you got any examples of how some of these skills helped you?
Oh, yeah, massively.
Yeah.
So I I used to work for the Daily Mail, which is obviously one of the top publications in the world. And, getting there is no easy picnic. You have to go through a very extensive interview process. There was a boardroom. It was like I was on The Apprentice. There was like 3 guys to my left, 3 guys to my right. They were quizzing me. Someone was recording the interview. It was very intense. It's designed to be that.
A bit like this.
So you have to stamp anybody.
And then the second one, when I got through that, was a group interview with loads of people behind me and next to me, and it was very competitive. But I felt confident going into that because of all the tips you learn in this book. Dad has told me throughout my life what to do, and I just felt ready for it. And one of the things that we talk about in the interview chapter is preparation. And I knew every single question they were going to throw at me, everything I was going to say. I knew exactly my attitude, my approach, what to wear, what to do, what not to do. So that is one of the main examples. Not everything. Journalism is different. There's things like, getting a pay rise. I struggled with that one. But, every company's different. I think journalism is very different. But so I'd like to think that I've got quite far in my career. At the top level. I've been lucky enough to go to a Premier League game and done live football reporting on that. So all of that, relationship building, networking, talking to people, getting people on your side at work. It's all in this book, and it's all helped me. So it can help you too if you get the book.
You're speaking the language.
Love it.
And Gary, obviously you don't want to choose a favourite
child.
Sorry, no.
Don't do that.
I love them all.
I meant skill.
Oh, okay, fine. It's the same. They're my children.
Is there one sort of skill in here which you think is, a really overlooked or underrated skill when it comes to long?
I know you
don't say it. So Oli knows what I'm going to say. He's become me now. And it's slowly worrying. And the number one chapter for me, which is the foundation for everything else, is
networking.
Yes, is networking, because it's a skill no one teaches you. And if you listen to Nick Walker on our podcast recently, and he was trying to help young people as well. He said, that's the thing that people miss. And even if you're shy or an introvert, you need to do it anyway, because if you don't, you're missing out. So every single chapter is threaded by networking.
And this book was crafted by networking, because it was how we met our literary agent. It was how we met somebody to help us put it on Amazon and go through that process with us.
True.
It was how I recently got some publicity for it the other day. So everything that he's done in his career, everything that how we made this book happen is networking at its core.
It's also how we've managed to get some really excellent guests on this podcast and stars. So yes, I totally agree with that. We did a brilliant live show at the Academy of Excellence in Stratford.
London Academy of Excellence.
And I wondered, Gary, if you had any thoughts on how, the modern education system could evolve slightly to include more practical skills rather than, yes, they can put the career catalyst on the syllabus. That would be great. But is there, are there things that they should be doing in schools to directly influence young people and help them more directly?
Yeah, what's a really good question. And if you take the London Academy, they're a very progressive school. Basically, they get some amazing results. Alex Crossman, the headmaster, is incredible. He's been on the podcast. And I ran a class, and we did a live podcast with the whole year of 200 kids, and they were amazing.
They were,
And they get a very good intake in Oxford and Cambridge, and they get on very well. So not dissing anything is amazing with the sort of stuff they do. But I just think generally in schools, they need to get back to what some people call soft skills, but I call hard skills, because they're building relationships and teaching people to strive a bit and to use their connections to leverage themselves. Whereas everything's very academic, which is important.
Yeah.
And if you can link together the soft skills with the academia, that gives people a better chance.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what the book is. So everything from getting a pay rise to getting through the interview is about building relationships and using warm connections from other people to leverage, you give yourself a step up. And I think if they could teach that in school, that would just be incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. And actually, Lauren was on the panel where we did that.
She's bloody good on the panel as well.
And, I do think, it sounds trite to say, but design is such a huge part of sort of book publication. Have you got any advice? There were, I'm sure, within the audience of that show that we did, there were budding designers, illustrators. There are people who are looking to get into all sorts of things. But if there were any budding designers out there, especially when it comes to book design or self-publishing or whatever, have you got any advice for people sort of design-wise? Are there any things that you would like to do on future books, for example? Like, how do you approach the design process, and what do you think sort of stands out most when it comes to book design?
I mean, I really like a colourful cover.
No way.
Tell us what you really think. No, I just think number one with design is that you always have to be alert and prepare to be inspired by everything you see. Mm-hmm. It's not just other designs. It's everything. You know, you could be out and about and you see a color combination that you like, or you're in a restaurant and you see a font that you like. You're literally taking inspiration all the time. Design is really just, I had a lecturer once tell me that good design is just sort of clever, I don't want to say plagiarism, but along the lines of you're just taking things and sort of regurgitating them, not ripping them off, but just creating something new, evolving from everything you've seen, because you can't create something out of nothing.
Yeah.
Even if you think you have, you've got it from somewhere at some point, and all of these things are going into your brain and your eyes all of the time, and then it sort of spits out a new design. And so with this, I did, well, with the original cover, I started with the word catalyst. And so I said, what does catalyst make me think of? Science and a beaker and, you know, an actual catalyst, a scientific catalyst.
Not the Mentos.
Not the Mentos, but maybe book two. We could do Mentos. And that's where I kind of started with it. And then I wanted to, you also, when you're working with a brand or for a client, you have to think about their branding identity.
Yeah.
So I wanted to incorporate some of that teal, which was the company Dr. Color, as well as the coral. So we had a little bit of injection of the teal. And yeah, hopefully you churn out something that feels like the brand, which was kind of modern and cool and something you don't necessarily expect. I think something that is always said about Gary's advice is that it's not just what you see on Google. It's saying advice in a different way. It's something you haven't heard before and something that makes you go, huh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And so I wanted the cover to reflect that sort of brand identity.
And you did. Well, we loved it.
Smashed it. You nailed it. So, you know, we've talked about the sort of, you know, and I know that we're going to be wrapping up soon, but the self-publishing process, is it one that you would recommend?
Well, I think you've got to be motivated to do anything, right?
Yeah.
And this is a big task.
Yeah.
We shouldn't underestimate it. The work that Oli's done is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And then and I'll let Oli explain the process, but as you're getting closer to it, the amount of detail you have to get into, because you don't want to publish a book that's not good and it's got mistakes in it.
Yeah.
And there's a copyright issue, so you have to check everything. And we had multiple people checking. And my 95-year-old dad, he checked it after everyone else, and he found things that no one else had found.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's incredible amount of detail you have to get into as you're going through the process. But Oli's more accustomed to the detail of mine.
No, but sorry, just before you say that, I mean, it really was a proper family affair, wasn't it? Because you had Jane, your wife, she sub-edited it.
She's brilliant.
And then you had your dad go through it as well. So everyone's had...
It's everyone's fault.
Yeah,
if you don't like it, it's their fault.
If you spot any mistakes,
it's that.
It's their fault.
I'd be very surprised. We have actually got one. We spell Fraser's name.
Sorry, Fraser.
Sorry, Fraser. If you're listening, we didn't mean it. We tried.
But yeah, Oli, maybe you can elaborate.
What do you want me to elaborate on?
Not about Fraser.
Well, just whether you sort of recommend the process and, you know, how you found it, whether you do it again.
Well, you know what? It was very rewarding. I think we wanted to go down the traditional publishing route mainly to get it in the bookshops. And then we realized when that wasn't going to happen, maybe it could play in our favor. Maybe we could, you know, take control of the narrative, if you want. You know, there was no deadlines. There was no pressure. We just got it out when we want to. There was no one telling us what we should do. There was no creative confusion or anything. We just did what we wanted to do. We played by our own rules, and we just got the book out when it was ready, really. And there was lots to learn. We had to go on Amazon and figure out all the process with that. We had to do lots with formatting, which is a very difficult process, you know, because you'll send them your work and they send it back. It's not quite right. You've got to send it back to them. It's a whole back and forth. But no, I would definitely recommend it. The only problem is you have to do your own marketing. So that's the whole struggle that we are now about to embark on.
Yeah.
Whereas if you do it with a publisher, they do it all for you. And they do everything for you. Really.
Yeah.
You just have to send them the work. So, but it's been quite rewarding. And
have you learned a lot?
Oh,
you have to become an expert in things.
We've learned so much.
Yeah.
And there's things we probably would do differently if we did it again, maybe not. But yeah, it's been really cool. And, we're in control of everything now. We can see all the numbers, like how many books we're selling, and Kindle. And there's been a whole process with the Kindle, very different to the paperback and stuff.
Yeah.
We had to choose, even things like, do we want the front cover to be matte or glossy? I don't even know what that means.
Who knew?
We didn't even know what that means. Apparently mattes cool.
You went matte.
We went with matte.
I love Matt as a designer.
Matt is cool.
Not the person.
Little things. we never even considered these things. And we're suddenly having to be like, oh, what kind of, font type do we want?
Yeah.
What's it called? Font face? What's it called?
Font.
Typeface.
Typeface.
All sorts of things.
We had to decide difficult decisions. We have these amazing graphics courtesy of Pat. What was it? Pat Harbord. And we had to go black and white because it costs a lot of money to go colors, things like that. But it's been a really fun journey. There's been times of frustration where things were taking a long time. But it's been really cool. I definitely recommend it to anyone.
And where do you want to see it? What's the, obviously it's an amazing achievement to have got a book out. It's wonderful to say that you guys are published authors. What is the sort of the apex dream? Where do you want to see it?
I go first, and you follow. Yeah. I mean, the goal at the beginning is always to help young people get started. Yeah. Help people early in their careers. So our goal is so maybe we can get into schools or unis and give people a bit of a leg up and sort of complement what they're learning at school. Maybe we can be that missing bit. So my goal would be the young people are using this as their Bible to get started in their careers. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. For me, at the beginning, in a sort of materialistic, not quite
money.
Good mentality, but not money. I always wanted to see someone reading it on a train. For me, we've made it. If we see someone reading on a train, or you're at an airport, someone's got it on the plane.
Yeah.
But for me now, I think I agree with Dad. I want to see it in university libraries, school libraries. I want it to be everywhere for young people, accessible to them.
Yeah.
I think, we're not very likely to see someone reading it on a train because it's aimed at young people. And it should be in the schools and in the universities. So that'd be really good.
Yeah. No, it's great. I think that brings this episode almost to a close, unless there are other things.
There's one thing I want to say.
Yeah.
Because we've got a series.
Yes. Yes. What's next?
What's next? Exactly. So because we decided to focus this on early careers.
Yeah.
We have 2 other books in the making. The next one is called Career Crisis. So for people in their mid-careers, not that you're having a crisis, but you might be. And then the third one is called Career Genius for the super advanced people.
Yeah.
So, but all these things are relevant to everyone, but we are really focused on early careers right here.
That's brilliant. So you're doing a trilogy.
We're really on it. Yeah. We're really doing it.
We've got all the material, every episode you hear from the podcast that is going to be repackaged into some sort of genre, whether it's, you've got early careers and you've got mid careers where things like out of work, what next, where you've been fired or let go.
Yeah.
And then really senior stuff like presentations, boardroom stuff. So there's so much to work with.
So within the episodes, the archive of the Company Doctor podcast lives the material.
Lives all do
stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. And even I didn't know that. So what great news for me. Listen, thank you so much, everybody. It's been really excellent hearing about the making of it. I have a copy myself, which I think Gary has signed. It's your turn this evening.
I'll sign it for you. I'll sign it for you.
Very excited.
You're a big part of our book because most of the stuff has come from our kind of combination of working together. You are.
I am.
You are the career catalyst.
The silent.
And also, the topics only come from your personal requests.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
if I didn't want to know this information,
if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have any of this, George.
Absolutely. Well,
it's all about you.
Yes.
What about you, George?
Thank you, me.
Everyone knows George anyway, so this is amazing.
Thank you all for listening and joining us. But get yourself a copy of The Career Catalyst. It's currently available on Kindle for 99 pence.
Wow.
Depending on what time you're listening to this, and it's on paperback for $10.99. Thank you for joining us. And
thank you for listening, everyone.
See you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, and we hope that you enjoyed this eye-opening first installment of the Career Catalyst miniseries. If you did, the great news is that parts 2 and 3 are out now and feature some cracking advice around key skills that will continue to pave your way to becoming a career catalyst. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.